Big show on tap today. Yankees added a former MVP, and you know what? 15 games on the slate.
We'll even put up our bukes tonight.
You are adorable.
I know. Plus, we're going to be talking some golf. Dell Technologies Championship in Boston. How's Tiger doing? Plus targets for the weekend.
And you know what? NFL preseason's over. That means superlatives. I've got one. Most likely to be the best show of the week.
Friday.
All right, cute stuff's over with. Well, aside from, these adorable faces right here. But we also have some other beautiful faces that are just way more impressive than us. We have Gary and Thorne, Steve Buchanan, and the Action Network's Matt LaMarca. If you don't know us, Adam Kaufman, Brendan Glasheen. These gentlemen, they're here to help us with baseball.
What's up, guys? That's right. As you heard, full slate, 15 games, and we're going to debut a new segment.
How about that? That's a nice Friday news dump. All right, it's called MLB Double Play. You choose between two players at each position. It's like Chase Fade, but with an actual alternative.
Two pitchers over $11,000 tonight. Would you take Luis Severino against the Tigers or Zach Greinke versus the Dodgers? Steve Buchanan, get us started.
Oh man, can I go with neither? Is that an option? I mean, look, it's simply too hard to trust Severino at this point. I mean, the second half, 386 WOBA with a 4.36 FIP. He's still striking out guys at a good clip, but averaging just 13.5 DK fantasy points in 7 starts since the All-Star break. And then you got Greinke going up against a hot-hitting Dodgers club. 359 WOBA with a 211 isolated power over the last 2 weeks for the Dodgers. I mean, if there's anybody I'm taking tonight, and I think it should be a no-brainer, it's got to be Zach Wheeler against the Giants. The dude is just raking right now. This is a great spot for him. But if you had to choose between the two, I guess I would go Severino because of the easier matchup. But, man, you are going to be sweating all night.
Matt LaMarca, Severino or Greinke?
Bit more strikeout upside against the Dodgers than Severino does against the Tigers. Their projected lineup has a little bit of a higher strikeout rate. And if you look at Greinke's StatCast profile from the past 15 days, it's pretty impressive. So I would go with Greinke of the two. But, again, I'm kind of with Steve here. I think Wheeler might be the best option on the team.
I was very concerned that we were going to have to learn to read lips.
Oh, yeah. Matt, yeah, you worried us there.
That was not going to be pretty.
Good save, though. The audio came through. Gary, your choice.
Well, I guess I'll cheat like everyone else did and say Zach Wheeler is the top play on the slate, but I'm actually not as opposed to playing Severino as everyone else seems to be. I think if you look at this from just more of the perspective that the Tigers are hot garbage, which they are, they also, according to Fangraphs, are the worst club in the American League at hitting 2 pitches, the four-seam fastball and the slider. Those are the only 2 pitches that Luis Severino throws. I mean, he'll show you a changeup from time to time, but we're talking about 90 to 91% of the time that is his 2-pitch arsenal. On top of that, the aforementioned struggles that he has have been at the hands of right-handed batters, almost 3 home runs per 9 going back to mid-July against righties. There was only 1 bat in this lineup with an isolated power above 150 right on right. That's Nick Castellanos. There's only 1 bat in this lineup with a WRC plus over 100 right on right, and that's Nick Castellanos. And Nick Castellanos is basically a glorified platoon hitter who holds his own against right-handed pitching. So I kind of think this is a good spot for Severino, and I think people are going to stay away because of the price point.
All right.
Sorry, I was just staring at Gary and shirt. I was trying to find the sailboat.
Zodiac
Take a
killer.
closer look.
I don't see
Go to
it.
that shirt.
There's a lot going on there.
All right, first base. You got the top price Matt Carpenter opposite Homer Bailey. Paul Goldschmidt's another option versus Hyunjin Ryu. What do we think? Let's go right back to Matt.
I'm going Goldschmidt against the left-hander. I mean, Goldschmidt is just a known lefty. 421 WOBA, 278 ISO over the past 12 months, and he's been smoking the baseball recently. Average exit velocity of 97 miles an hour over his past 13 games. So all of that combines to make Goldschmidt the preferred option here for me.
Gary, do you agree?
Yeah, Homer Bailey is not good, but Matt Carpenter is significantly slowed down since mid-August, and I don't do this often, but let's play the BVP card for a second because
All right,
Woo!
let's play that game.
Considering he's just in general got a 185 WRC plus since the start of June, so he's a good hitter anyway. As Matt said, he has crushed lefties for the entire duration of his career. he has an expected slugging percentage against Ryu in 26 plate appearances of over 1.5. That is insanity. I don't know if anyone sees a pitcher better than Ryu.
He's probably happy that you went to him first and then went to Steve Buchanan, the real BVP.
Yeah, well, I like to think I'm the real BVP guy, but Steve's got the T-shirt. Let's hear it, Steve. BVP. BVP. All right, here, you go ahead.
Boy, I'll tell you, it's a long weekend, and Gary must have got it started early if he's talking about BVP, because you never hear that, baby. Wow. He might be asking me out after the show at this point. If you want to go crazy, you can play both of these guys. You can play Carpenter at third base and get Goldschmidt at first, but I like Goldie just a tad bit more on this spot. He gets you a $400 discount, and his numbers on the road, as Gary was saying, they're absolutely insane. He's got a 5'10 WOBA with a 390 isolated power with 7 of his 30 home runs. I think I'll take the slight savings here and likely lower ownership. But the crazy thing is that it's amazing that we're talking up Goldschmidt so much when you just think about 2-3 months ago, this guy couldn't hit anything, and then he still sports this type of numbers against left-handed bats. Man, he is just absolutely locked in right now. You got to love Goldschmidt here.
All right, let's go to outfielders to close out this new segment, MLB Double Play. Outfielders both priced at $5,800. Christian Yelich, he went 0 for 4 last night, but all in all, he's been red hot. And Mookie Betts, who's homered in 2 straight against former Red Sox prospect Michael Kopech of the White Sox. You got to pick one. Gary, and you first.
I'm going to go with Mookie Betts here. I think if you really want to simplify it, Mookie Betts is arguably one of the 2 best hitters in all of baseball. But Christian Yelich, I've always just had issue with his batted ball profile. And even with the incredible numbers he's put up in the month of August, he's only got a 30% fly ball rate in the month. And if you juxtapose that to his July, where somehow he only had a 10% fly ball rate, he's a professional baseball hitter who gets to play half his games at Miller Park. Hit the ball in the air, man. But I just look at this and go, if you want to look at the pitchers for a second too, Tanner Roark is kind of looking like 2016 Tanner Roark over his last 7 starts. It's the hard contact suppression, just a 23.5% hard contact rate to his opponents. I just think you take Mookie Betts.
Bukes.
Man, I mean, I'm going with Mookie Betts, but Gary's being a little tough here on Yelich. I mean, this is a guy who's averaging just over 17 DK fantasy points in his last 10 games. Whatever the hell he's doing, you keep doing it, dude. Don't worry about your fly ball rate and everything like that. You're crushing it, so you stay like that. But look, I'll side with Betts.
Didn't he have like 50 just one night?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he had the 6 for 6 cycle. It's going to bring up the average a bit.
I don't like Christian Yelich.
Like we said, Garen's gotten started a little bit earlier in the long weekend, so forgive him and his takes here today. But look, I'll side with Betts here. Both of these guys are in a tough matchup to start off with, but then once the Red Sox get into the White Sox bullpen, it is game on after that point. They're one of the worst in the league, 4.74 FIP against righties with a 34% hard hit rate allowed. Like I said, once again to that bullpen, it is just on for the Red Sox offense. I mean, look, they scored 9 runs last night after getting almost no hit through 5. I mean, this team is just unbelievable when it comes to offense. Just go with Betts.
Matt, you taking Mookie too?
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. I mean, if Christian Yelich and Mookie Betts are the same price, I'm playing Mookie Betts 100 times out of 100.
Why?
Because he's just like the best hitter on the planet. I mean, maybe
I want
Mike
some
Trout
WOBA, man. Like, come on.
This is good. This is good analysis.
What's wrong with that? Play the best hitters.
Yeah, well, he's
Hey,
good.
man,
Yeah,
if you
he's
want
good.
people to download the new Action Network app, they got to have some insight here.
All right, well, how
He's
about this?
really good. He's just good.
Mookie
Don't you
Betts
have
is playing
eyes?
for an offense with a better implied team total. Even though Yelich has put up crazy numbers recently, Mookie Betts has better recent StatCast data in terms of his average distance, at least. Like Garion brought up, 31% fly ball rate for Yelich. Hard to hit home runs if you're not putting the ball in the air. So I think Betts has better upside. He has a better floor, and he's just a better player.
There we go. Like, there was some context there.
Shove those stats up your tailpipe there, Glasheen.
Yeah,
huh? My
jeez,
goodness.
come, take the rest of the segment.
Oh.
I'm feeling tight.
All right, boys. Thanks very much. We'll catch up with you again in a little while. First, though, it's unusual to make it through any show without Pat Mayo wedging his way in. So let's head to our
Wedging.
Toronto studios. Wedging, yeah, for a look at Carson Wentz and the defending champion Eagles.
Carson Wentz has not been cleared for contact yet. What week do you think we see Carson Wentz? I'll say week 3.
I think it's week 2.
I think that he's just close enough that I think that, if we were talking about the middle of the season and this was kind of an injury, they'd be like, yeah, you're going to go back out there because we need the win. I think because of Nick Foles, they're going to say, you know what, we'll give you the extra week. So I'm saying week 2. Week 3 wouldn't surprise me. But even if he misses the first 2 weeks, Carson Wentz is not going to fall outside of my top 10 because I can make up with the quarterback for the first 2. Plug in Alex Smith. Like, nobody wants Alex Smith, despite the fact he's like a QB1 fringe in that conversation, one of the safest quarterbacks every single year. So I'll plug in somebody like that, or even roll the dice on a Trubisky for the first 2 weeks, even if it is 2 weeks, because those next 14 games, if Carson Wentz is 100% and he even plays at 90% of what he did last year, he's still going to be a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, I have him at number 7 in the rankings right now. I'm not moving that. I'm with you. I can mix and match for the first 2. Hell, if it's 4 weeks, which it won't be, at least I certainly hope not. It's still, there's no bye weeks the first 4 weeks. You can get through it. And I like the matchups he has with the NFC South this year, with the AFC South. I mean, minus the Jags and maybe the pass rush from the Texans gets to him. That's still a team that you can throw on. That I think that later on in the season, plus all the teams in the NFC East who just could be terrible, who knows, that it's a nice opportunity for Wentz and you're still getting decent value. More so now, it's been kind of like a sinus curve so far this season. He started out really low because it looked like he was going to miss a bunch of time. Then it said he was healthy. Then his stock went up and then it's going back down. Now that he might miss a few weeks, this is the buying opportunity when he's on the way back down. But
would you just bust out some sign and cosign on me?
A little bit. Listen, if there's one thing I do miss from my schooling days, it's solving identities.
Okay. I remember making that giant graph that was like this big with the cosine and sine curves that overlapped each other. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did all my math in French growing up. So instead of finding for the slope, I had to derive for la pente. It made things much more difficult when I took English math in college. I was
that's like sexy math.
That's sexy math? Oh, French math?
Yeah.
It could be. So Alshon does look like he's going to miss some time, though. He's not practicing. At least 2 weeks is the report. I don't know how much we can trust that, but I'm preparing like he's going to be out for 2 weeks. So what does this do to Alshon's draft stock and where you would draft him this weekend? What does this do to the other guys, and how does this play out over the course of the season?
Yeah, so I'm treating this as 4 weeks because let's say 2. Let's say that's accurate. You still need at least 1 game to get into the swing of things, maybe even 2. If it's not exactly 2 weeks and ends up being 3, then it's 4. So I'm just going to, why I put that out there is because I'm going to compare him to one other player who we know he's definitively out for 4 weeks, but he's healthy, and that's Julian Edelman. So where it comes down to is now if I'm sitting in the draft and it's like, you know what, the first 4 weeks, we're talking about with quarterback first 4 weeks, with wide receiver, with Mark Ingram, with all these players. That's the easiest time to make up. That's where you find waiver wire options. That's where a lot of the guys you drafted late can hit in the beginning of the season. But if I'm looking at the board and I'm saying Julian Edelman or Alshon Jeffrey, I'm going to take the person I know suspended and 100% healthy and practicing with the team up until the point where he's not allowed to anymore. And I'm going to take Julian Edelman, who's also a wide receiver 1 when he's on the field, versus Alshon Jeffrey, who is a wide receiver fringe 1, kind of touchdown reliant. And we don't know what his health is. I mean, maybe he comes back in week 3 and it's a Doug Baldwin situation where he's not going to be 100% for the entire year. So that's where I'm considering Alshon Jeffrey. Like where I'm going to move him down to, I don't know exactly, but I'm going to tell you if both names are on the board, I'm going to feel better about Edelman at this point.
Well, I did a draft last night. It's not like an expert draft or anything like that. A friend of mine asked me to be in it. I said yes. It's like $100 to join. Seems like easy money. Alshon Jeffrey went with the second pick of the 7th round, which, I mean, is that a spot where you would start gambling on him?
Yeah, because usually if I own Edelman, I've been gambling him on that late 6th, early 7th round range. So that's kind of where, like I said, I would take Edelman right before him, but Jeffrey would be right behind. At that point of the draft, you hope that the 4 weeks and then he's back to 100%. And then if you're getting 12 games at Alshon Jeffrey, we are talking about a top 15 wide receiver.
Yeah, I moved him down in my rankings into tier 5 at receiver. Would you go Michael Crabtree or Alshon Jeffrey?
In a PPR, I'll take Crabtree.
Josh Gordon or Alshon Jeffrey?
I'll take Gordon.
Corey Davis or Alshon Jeffrey?
I lean slightly to Corey Davis.
Okay. Golden Tate in a PPR.
Oh, Tate.
Emmanuel Sanders in a PPR or Alshon Jeffrey?
Also Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, so I'm going to keep him on tier 5. Would you go Sammy Watkins or Alshon Jeffrey?
At that point, I'd probably take the upside potential of Jeffrey.
Okay, so I'm going to drop Jeffrey down. I think that's the spot. One spot after Emmanuel Sanders, one spot before Sammy Watkins, which really does put him down to really reflect that ADP right now. That was a 12-team league. So he's going in that 65 to 90 range, depending on how people in your league feel about him. If you can get him as wide receiver 4 or wide receiver 3, I think that is an acceptable amount of upside that you can gamble on if he can come back, be healthy, and score some touchdowns.
All right, thanks, Mayo. More NFL now with our pals Jeff Ulrich and Reed Fowler. Ryan Noonan
for yourself.
Also joins us from the Quant Edge. I like Jeff. I like Reed too. Ryan?
I definitely like Ryan. I mean, it's a little new, but I think we got to give him the benefit of the doubt anyway.
Yeah.
All right, let's have some fun with some preseason superlatives, guys. 50 new players entered the DK player pool today, mostly rookies or players on new teams like, say, Adrian Peterson. Okay, He is 4,700 for week 1 against the Cardinals. Is that too high or too low? Let's go right to Ryan.
I'll start it off. Yeah, I think it's priced appropriately. I'm at 47, but I'm not sure it's low enough for me to bite on it. His early down role is still undefined, despite showing well on all of 11 preseason carries. It's hard to project him for 20 week 1 carries here. His ceiling is capped on DraftKings with a full-point PPR scoring. So it's also worth noting that the reports out of Washington's camp are glowing when it comes to Chris Thompson, who's been kept in bubble wrap during the preseason. Not a stretch to assume Thompson handles a few carries and nearly all the passing down work in week 1. So I'm at $4,700. Similar price backs like Carlos Hyde, Royce Freeman, and if healthy, Rex Burkhead, that I think are going to soak up the majority of the ownership there.
Reed?
You guys are doing a really good job here. I like it. I agree with Ryan here. Adrian Peterson is priced appropriately. You look at the guys that he mentioned. I mean, think about it. Who else is going to run that ball? I mean, you have backups at the same price as him. What scares me a little bit is Washington does have a 40% run rate, and those guys are third last in yards per carry. So it does scare me, and Ryan's right. How do you figure out what his early down usage is? Jeff's going to say great. He looks like he's back to his old self. He's fantastic. This is an excellent price, but it's Adrian.
That is not what I am going to say.
Go ahead. Jeff.
I love that Jeff is giving you a verbal roll of the eyes.
But yeah, he's priced. I mean, Duke Johnson is there as well. Outside of the guys that Ryan was mentioning, he's someone that I would rather roster at the same price.
All right, Jeff, go ahead.
All right. 4,700 for Adrian Peterson. He's not going to catch any balls. Washington sucks at running the ball anyways. Rob Kelly's still going to get some play. Samaje Perine might get involved. They love Chris Thompson. No, absolutely not. It's 1 point PPR. Why would you roster Adrian Peterson over Chris Thompson, who's going to catch all the passes out of the backfield? I want nothing to do with 33-year-old Adrian Peterson. I know people he won people at their fantasy league back in 2009 or whatever. No, not right now. Not on DraftKings. Ryan already mentioned it. Carlos Hyde is at 4,500. You can pay up to Lamar Miller. It's only $500. Just spend up. I will not touch Adrian Peterson.
Jeff, don't you think they're going to run the ball a lot with the game manager of a quarterback and Alex Smith?
Sure, great. They'll run him into a brick wall first down a million times during the game.
Just a fun fact. I called Jeff on my drive home after our show last Friday. He'll verify this. And I said to him,
you have the line in Canada?
Direct line. I said, you've become such a freaking jerk on the air. But I did, but in the most complimentary way possible. I love new aggravated all the time, Jeff.
You just trolled him by waiting to go to him third of the trio.
I really did, yeah. Well, it doesn't take a lot.
No, just don't roster me.
All right, Jeff, let's have you take this one first since you're on a roll. 3 quarterbacks reached 30 touchdowns last year. One was not Alex Smith. Russell Wilson, Carson Wentz, and reigning MVP. Nick Foles might have caught the ball in the Super Bowl, Jeff, but Tom Brady won the MVP. Most likely to throw 30 touchdowns of that trio, Wilson, Wentz, or Brady.
Yeah, I want to change my pick now. We're talking about most likely of these 3. It has to be Brady. I mean, look, the New England offense isn't taking any hits. Josh McDaniel's still there. They might be down at wide receiver, but Gronk is healthy. They got a ton of pass-catching running backs, and LeGarrette Blount isn't there to steal touchdowns from Tom Brady. Russell Wilson lost Jimmy Graham. If we're talking talent here, who's the most talented quarterback? It's Wilson right now because Brady's over 40. But as far as who's most likely to throw 30 touchdowns out of this group, I'd take Brady. I just don't trust that Carson Wentz is even going to start the year, so you can't really take him. Out of this group, it's Brady.
I love that. Do you ever think you'd hear that sentence uttered? Well, LeGarrette Blount's not there to steal touchdowns from Tom Brady. 2018.
Yeah, because
Or
it's
Carson
true.
Wentz.
Well, we're talking about fantasy here. I mean, that's what happens.
I know. Fun facts. All right,
Touchdown.
read. Go ahead.
Steve.
Yeah, I mean, again, hate to agree with Jeff, but he's exactly right. It's Brady. Wentz is scary. Wilson, I mean, who's going to, you have an 80 to 85% Doug Baldwin. Look, everyone's going to be that in about 3 to 4 weeks anyway, but you lose Jimmy Graham. And who's healthy on the Eagles, right? You have a down Ajayi, down Wentz. Alshon Jeffrey's not there. So who really is, is Wentz even going to be back week 1 or week 2? So now you have Brady, who's hit this mark 6 times since 2010. So I got him around 30, 34 touchdowns because he's a guy that, again, no one's going to run the ball and vulture those touchdowns. Really, that scares me out of the New England backfield. Maybe James White gets those passes out of the backfield, but it's got to be Brady here.
All right, Ryan, who do you got?
Yeah, these three, it's no doubt, it's Tom Brady. I mentioned it earlier, he's done it in 6 of the last 8 seasons. He led the league in red zone pass attempts last season. Without a doubt, like the guy said, he has the best red zone option as well. And Gronkowski, I mean, I think if anyone in the league is going to do it, it's probably Aaron Rodgers because he's basically does it every year. Dating back to 2010, we have Carson Wentz coming off of a double ligament tear in his knee. His week 1 status is up in the air. Pretty unsustainable 7.5% touchdown rate. And Seattle was just such an air ball last year on the ground. They relied so heavily on Russell Wilson. They lost their leading red zone target. Jimmy Graham led the league in red zone targets, converted 26 of those targets into 10 scores. He might be able to top 30 again, but if we're talking about most likely, I think Brady is the clear-cut winner.
I can't believe Wilson hit 30 touchdowns last year when you think about that.
Well, I mean, when you abandon the
Done
run
it
game
2 out of the last
bit.
3 years. I mean, it's not.
Yeah. I mean, Jimmy Graham got 10 of them. I mean, he had one
Hey
of the
guys,
best
I
red
was
zone
talking to
targets. It's not
Kaufman,
that
not
bad.
you
Yeah,
three.
I remember inviting you
Well,
three into this
you got analysts and you got hosts.
Trying to have a minute here. It's fine. It's all about you guys. All right. How about most likely to rush for 1,300 yards? I'll tell you, Kareem Hunt and Todd Gurley did that in 2017, but it does not have to be one of those two. Who do you suppose will achieve this? Reed.
Well, for the sake of this segment, I'm going to say Todd Gurley. Look, Hunt, we don't know.
Doesn't have to be one of the two. It can be anybody.
We don't know what Ware is going to do. We don't know how Andy Reid is going to use Kareem Hunt in third down passing. Look, it could be a bevy of guys. It could be Ezekiel Elliott. It could be a bunch of these guys. But to me, of these two, I'm going to pick Gurley just because of that 3-down workhorse back.
Yeah, that's my bad. I kind of led them the wrong way on that one. You don't have to pick from those guys.
Never
If you don't want.
listens.
Unbelievable. Let's just move right past
The
Reed.
question is, who's more likely to do it?
You can sit out for a minute.
Who's most likely?
Who's most likely, not more likely. Don't confuse. Listen, we read the words.
All right,
that are
go on to the next one, you B-class host. Let's go. Come on.
Okay, thank you. All right, now calm down. Zip your mouth. Jeff, what do you got?
Okay. I mean, I think Todd Gurley's got a chance, obviously. I would say this. The Rams have improved their passing offense. I'm going to go with Ezekiel Elliott. You look at all the top running backs. David Johnson's probably going to pile up a ton of yards this year, but a lot of that might be through the air. Gurley, like I said, the Rams improved their passing offense a bit. Could be in a few less carries. Lev Bell might not even play week 1. I know most people are expecting him, but you never know. I think it's Ezekiel Elliott. He's definitely going to get the volume. He's one of the only 2 backs over the last 3 years to have over 320 carries. He's going to play all 16 games this year unless he does something stupid off the field. So he'll get the volume. Dallas isn't going to turn into some kind of passing maniac offense. So maybe their O-line issues hurt him a bit, but he's going to get the volume. So I'd say Ezekiel Elliott's most likely.
Maybe it's Adrian Peterson. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not. But
Sure.
all right, one out of the two
Sure,
are you
man.
paying attention and following instructions so far. Ryan, what do you say?
Well, yeah, I might take some slot snaps for Dallas this season because they're just abysmal on the outside. Well, I'm going to echo Jeff's sentiment there. I definitely think it's Ezekiel Elliott. If I'm playing the game that Reed's playing, I think that Todd Gurley is definitely the lean over Kareem Hunt.
Very diplomatic.
But I think Gurley and Bell probably are in the mix as well. But Zeke's led the league in yards per game in each of his first 2 seasons. Only played 15 games as a rookie and top 1,600 yards. So with all the lack of receiving options that they have, their only path to a playoff spot is on his back. So I think he's clear-cut winner here.
All right.
You feel like you need to get anything off your chest, pal? You okay?
No, I mean, just take one of the top 5 running backs, and you got your answer. I mean, you could really use this as a revolving door. David Johnson too is another guy that could easily do this because who else are they going to use? So yeah, all those guys work.
Never heard of him. Does he play football?
Clearly.
Yeah, he didn't play last year. He was hurt.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Guys, thanks a lot. We're going to hear from Jeff and Reed again soon, but we're going to go to Pierce Dietrich now to talk NASCAR price check. This Sunday, the Bojangles Southern 500 is in Darlington, and darn it, we have to know about it. Here's Pierce.
Welcome to the Price Check. I'm Pierce Dietrich. Let's look at the salaries for Darlington, whose salary jumped up this week. Chase Elliott, $9,100 up to $10,200. He's the hottest driver in NASCAR. He is your 2018 Dark Horse. Kyle Larson, $11,400 to $12,000. Darlington has a racing groove near the wall advantage dirt track phenom. Ryan Blaney, $8,900 up to $9,600. He had another big weekend at Bristol, but this isn't Bristol, it's Darlington, and Blaney's been bad at Darlington. Whose salary dropped this week? Kevin Harvick, $12,000 down to $11,400. Just one question every single week for Harvick, and that's what is his track history? At Darlington in 2016, over 100 fantasy points. Brad Keselowski, $9,900 down to $9,300. There's only so many seats at the cool kids table, and Keselowski's that guy on the outside leaning over, trying to get in on the conversation. Get out of here, Brad. Joey Logano, $9,600 down to $9,100. It's a sale on Penske drivers this week, and he's cheaper than Brad. Statistically, though, he's about the same type of driver. Favorite play of the week, Martin Truex Jr., $10,900. The 78 car always has a good night race setup. Look at Richmond, look at Kentucky. Last year, Charlotte, Kansas, Darlington. Denny Hamlin, $9,900. Who's the best at Darlington? It's Hamlin. In 12 races, he's got 2 wins, 7 top 5s, and 10 top 10s. All right, guys, check out the DK Playbook for your DFS information and needs. If you've got NASCAR questions, hit me up on Twitter at @RaceForThePrize. I'm Pierce Dietrich. Catch me on DK Live.
Baseball guys are back. Gary and Steve and Matt. You can check out Matt on the new Action Network app available on iPhones, Androids. You can also see him periodically here on The Sweat, which is where we like to find him. Guys, chase fade time, okay? That means agree or disagree if you happen to be a noob. Andrew McCutchen will have a big impact for the Yankees down the stretch. What do you say? Bukes, you want it. I could tell.
Oh, man, I'm going to fade this one. I mean, McCutchen can get on base, but, I mean, he's just simply not hitting for power right now. I mean, once Aaron Judge gets back, he's going to find his ass on the bench. I mean, look, he'll draw the occasional start against lefties. You know, it's a 352 WOBA against him with a 178 isolated power. But, man, it just seems like McCutchen's better days are behind him here. It was a nice pickup from the Yankees. It really didn't cost them much of anything to get him on there and add some bench depth. But, yeah, he's not going to be a difference maker.
Gary?
I'm going to chase this just because when you juxtapose McCutchen to what the Yankees have put out in left field since the All-Star break, I mean, anyone is an improvement, and he's definitely going to lengthen that lineup and from a DFS perspective, add a relatively cost-effective bat in that Yankee order where we can stack with. I mean, in left field, since All-Star break, the Yankees have gotten a .089 isolated power and 47 WRC plus. I mean, McCutchen's only slightly above league average in both those categories, but that's a whole lot better than the absolute dumpster fire that has been the Yankee left field situation for the last 6 weeks. So, yeah, by lengthening what right now is not a very good lineup from a DFS perspective, I think he will have an impact.
Bukes will
change it to
physically
.90.
offended.
I was just going to say, we got to make a GIF for the eye roll head nod of Steve Buchanan, because that is really funny.
I'm glad I can entertain.
Yeah, I mean, and you did it like a second into his take.
Oh, there you go.
Matt LaMarca, your turn.
Yeah.
Is there anything stronger than fade here? Like, McCutchen has been done for the better part of 3 seasons at this point. You know, there's a reason the Pirates gave up on him. There's a reason that the Giants are willing to move on from him. And it's because he is just not a good baseball player at this point. I agree that the Yankees had to do something because I don't think it's guaranteed that Judge comes back at this point. But I would say that Clint Frazier, who just started a rehab assignment, is going to have a bigger impact on the Yankees down the stretch than Andrew McCutchen will.
It's insane to me. Like, the guy's 31 years old. He's a former MVP not long ago, a 5-time All-Star. He's like baseball dead at this point. It's
and the idea of going
crazy.
to the Giants was a hope for a revival. It just didn't happen.
No, it didn't
we'll
pan out.
Dissolves, another word for fade that came to mind, by the way.
You looked it up.
I did not. Look at my screen.
No.
Speaking of the Bombers, Adam, Luke Voigt, a steal tonight at 3,900 against the Tigers. Matt, we'll go back to you, chasing or fading.
I'm going to chase this. If you look at Luke Voigt's numbers, the guy is actually a pretty good hitter. 394 WOBA, 316 ISO against right-handers over the past 12 months. His StatCast data from his past 15 days is also excellent. 98 miles an hour exit velocity, 55% hard hit rate. So I think that this is a pretty good hitter. He's got a premium spot in the Yankees lineup, hitting 5th, and he's still pretty cheap. So I think all of that makes him a really nice play tonight.
How you like all those stats, Glash, huh?
Yeah.
Came out firing.
I'll have to check out the Action Network app during the next break.
All right, let's not promote other products.
Let's go to Gary, and Steve, you can wait.
Yeah, the eye roll can wait just a second. But I have to agree with Matt here. I got to chase this, especially considering that there are so many pitchers priced above $9,000 tonight where I think people are going to want to buy in. You're going to need some of these types of bats in your lineup. And anytime you can get Jordan Zimmerman outside the comforting walls of Comerica Park, you've got to attack him. He's got a 348 WOBA on the road this season, allowing 2.11 home runs per 9 to right-handed bats when not getting to pitch in that Spaces ballpark in Detroit. So, yeah, I think Voigt, along with the recent success, is a great play tonight.
All right, Steve, go for it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, look, he's been good as of late. $3,900 is not a lot to ask for the first base position. And look, a lot of people are going to be going for the more expensive bats here. Anthony Rizzo's in a great spot. We talked about Matt Carpenter in a good spot here as well. So Voigt at $3,900 looks awfully appealing, batting 5th tonight for the Yankees. I mean, look, you can't hate it going up against Zimmerman. And like we mentioned, his numbers against righties have been fantastic. 533 WOBA with a 462 isolated power with 4 of his 5 home runs. I mean, the dude is just crushing it right now. But, you know, the one thing that worries me is that, like I said, the Yankees are just not hitting like they used to be. There's a reason why Voigt's hitting 5th and Duhar's hitting cleanup right now. A lot of these guys are injured, and they're just not hitting for as much power as they used to, but they're in a damn good matchup tonight.
All right, we're a little more than halfway home here on the Sweat, and let's keep going with these guys. Chase fade. Alex Bregman hot right now. We know that. We've been paying attention. He extended his hitting streak to 12 games. And he will score at least 15 DK points tonight versus the Angels. Again, that's chase or fade. Dozen-game hitting streak, 15 DK points. Steve, right back to you.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's in a great spot to continue that tonight. I mean, look, he was usually reserved last season just against lefties, but he's really evened that out immensely this year. I mean, he's got a 392 WOBA with a 232 isolated power against righties this year. Now 17 of his 25 home runs. The only thing that kind of keeps me away is that he's damn expensive tonight. He's $5,600, but one of the appeal is that he's also eligible at shortstop now, so you can get him at third base or at shortstop. But yeah, I mean, he's just raking right now. The rest of the Astros lineup kind of muddling around, but he is just consistently going. I'd take him tonight if you have the salary to spare.
Matt?
I'm a little bit conflicted because it is a great spot against Berea. If you look at his splits, he has been an extreme reverse splits guy. 392 WOBA to right-handed batters, 262 WOBA to left-handed batters. So, like, the numbers suggest that Bregman is in a really good spot, but I don't think I can pay $5,600 for him. Like, his StatCast data suggests that he's been a little bit lucky. Only hard hits on 31% of balls in play over the past 15 days. So it's not like this guy is scorching the ball. He's just had a lot of balls fall in, which is a reason why he's got that hit streak going. I think 15 DK points is obviously doable for him, but I think that's on the high side of his expectations.
Gary?
Yeah, I really got to side with Matt here, and to just pick up where he was saying with the reverse splits, there's only one right-handed pitcher who has worse reverse splits by WOBA this season, and it's Jason Hamill. Right-handed batters have killed Barria so far this season, but you're probably not just going to have $5,600 laying around. Like, to go back to the first question we answered on this show today, I think a lot of people are going to be investing in Zach Wheeler. That's $10,600, and right there, if you're going to pair him with someone over 7,000, and unless you're really feeling like Aaron Sanchez against the Marlins, I don't think you're going to have this kind of coin. So it's going to be a tough spot.
All right, guys, thanks a lot. We're going to put up our bukes at the end of the show when you guys return. Steve, get your picks ready, friend.
They're ready, butter.
Yeah, he's already ready. All right, well, we'll talk to you in a bit. We're going to go from the hardwood and talk to from the diamond, to the greens at TPC Boston. All right, it's right in our backyard here at DraftKings. Round 1 of the Dell Technologies Championship. Not quite complete. There are some guys still on the course, but Justin Rose, the leader in the clubhouse, he is 6 under. That is good for a 2-stroke lead on a handful of others, but a couple of those guys, Russell Knox and Abraham Answer, still on the course. So let's go right back to Reed Fowler because he likes to talk golf as much as he does football.
And, jack of all trades.
Yeah, or something like that. He at least knows 2 sports. But he's with us as well as RotoWire's Len Hochberg, going to provide some insight here on the sweat. Len, welcome. How are you?
Good, guys. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for joining
great.
us. And, of course, Reed, thanks for sticking around.
You're welcome, bud.
Buds, plural.
Yeah, we're both
unless you
your
don't want to
friends.
include me.
Sure.
Hey, so Len, let's start with you here. Who's been the biggest surprise so far through round 1? Give us the good, the bad, or the ugly. Go for it.
Well, I know the tournament's in your backyard this week in the Boston area. That's pretty sweet. I am in Los Angeles area, and I'm not getting up that early for the start of the tournament. But by the time I got up this morning, talk about a surprise, Tiger Woods was 7 shots off the lead. He was 3 over on his front side. Chris Kirk was playing well, 4 under through his round. Of the guys on the course, Tiger was ahead of only one guy, Bronson Burgoon, and apologies to the Burgoon family, but that's not very good. Tiger got it back to 1 over at the end of his day, but he's still 7 back of another surprise, Justin Rose. He hasn't had a great late summer. He withdrew from the Bridgestone with a back injury. He missed the cut last week, and as you said, he's got a 2-stroke lead, and he was looking fantastic out there today. And maybe missing that time. Maybe he's a little more rested than some of the other guys. This is pretty much a grind at this time of year. And one more quick surprise, Jason Day, 5 over, the best putter on tour this year, no birdies in round 1.
Biggest surprise from round 1.
Yeah, Len mentioned a lot of good ones there. Mine's going to be Adam Hadwin. I mean, this guy was someone that we saw pop last year, really good with this putter, good with the irons, but he just hasn't had that this year. At 6,900 and about 3% owned in GPPs, Adam Hadwin is up there with the big guys. He's top 25 now in putting and strokes gained approach today. If you can keep that going, especially in DK tournaments and GPPs, you're looking at a guy that was probably stacked with Dustin Johnson at the top there when he's priced that low. So Adam Hadwin was someone that we saw pop last week at the Northern Trust, and now he's putting 2 good tournaments together. So he's one guy out of the guys that Len mentioned that I like.
3 under right now.
Yeah, so I know once again, as we said, the first round not over. It is for most guys, but a couple of guys who are in contention to be an overnight leader is still kind of in the mix anyway, but it'll probably be Justin Rose overnight. So looking ahead kind of into your crystal ball for round 2, Dustin Johnson, most expensive golfer in fantasy at $10,500. Justin Thomas, he's next, 300 behind him. Brooks Koepka, third at $10,100. So Reed, best pick out of that trio. Who you got?
I mean, the safest is probably Dustin Johnson, right? He's right up there. He's a guy. He's number 1 in the world for a reason. But I'm going Brooks here. When you look at a guy who can essentially get a pretty good round going, a second round, and then eventually get up there on the leaderboard, he usually keeps it. Reason being is he's top 5 in par 5 scoring and second in birdies or better gained over the last 24 rounds. So especially if he stays at that -2, -3 area where he has to attack and score birdies, this guy can really hit it around the course. He can hit it long. Hits his long irons really well. It's what you need here. So give me Brooks.
Len?
Yeah, you know, Brooks it's a close call. These guys are only $400 apart. It's not like at the beginning of the tournament where the money could really play a part in who you pick. I'm going to go with Dustin Johnson. He's 3 under. He's 3 shots back. He really didn't play well today. He is not in the top 70 in strokes gained off the tee. He's also outside the top 40 in strokes gained putting, and he has been a pretty good putter this year. So he didn't play very well today, but he's right there, and I would pick him among the 3.
Len, back to you. Who is the best value pick for the second round showdown contest? Let's say the salary's got to be $7,500 or under.
Well, a couple of guys stand out, primarily at $7,200, Xander Schauffele. We've talked about him as being a sort of a big tournament guy. He didn't do it last week. but he's in the mix this week. He's only three shots back. It looks like he's going to have another big tournament. If you want to save another $300 and go back to Reed's selection of Adam Hadwin at 6,900, I think that would be a great way to go to.
Reed?
Yeah, I'm going back to Benny On, Byung Han An. He's at 7,100, I think, so just $100 more than what we saw before the tournament started. Like, this guy is killing it off the tee. He's averaging 312 off the tee. Again, really good with his approach, and he's not losing 7 strokes or 3.5 strokes a day putting. He's just losing about 1 stroke. So, again, that's really good for Benny On. His stroke gain approach is really nice. He's someone that's low price and they can rattle off those birdies. So I like Benny On at that $7,100 value.
Gentlemen, we need some slate-approved picks for round 2. Showdown mode, guys, obviously, that we've been talking about, and there have been a great number of them throughout this particular segment. Reed, you go first. Who do you like?
Well, I like Len for this segment as opposed to Jeff, but my slate-approved pick is going to be Brooks.
I think I'm comfortable going with Len over Jeff as your slate-approved pick. I don't even need a golfer. But, Len, what do you think?
Well, Justin Rose looks fantastic right now. But you know what? Dustin Johnson, as I mentioned, he's normally a golfer who scores better than he plays. But today, the other way around, he plays better than he scores sometimes. But he really did not do very well today. Like I said, his driving was terrible, and yet he is only 3 shots back. I think if he can really straighten out the driver, and that's pretty easy for him to do, look for him to have a good weekend.
All right, thanks to Len Hochberg for his insight. Check him out on RotoWire. His piece is up on the website and the app talking about golf. Well, we just can't get enough of Reed Fowler. This is going to be his third different sport, so to say.
Well, league anyway, at the very least. Yeah, Reed's going to stick around, which, again, I like the guy, fine by me. I can only take Jeff Ulrich in small doses, but what the heck, we'll let Jeff back in with us as well. We're going to evaluate there he is. Jeff is going to evaluate Reed's CFL picks, Canadian Football League for the weekend. Jeff, hi, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard everything. So.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, I didn't even know you were there.
I'll tell you what, I say this sincerely, this is probably, at least routinely, my favorite segment of the show. Because neither of these guys has much of a clue what they're talking about, and yet they really sell it. They sell it.
They really struggled.
They fake it well.
We struggled to name pronunciation the last time we did this
Kaufman,
segment.
there's like 3 things to do where I live: hockey, CFL, and lacrosse. Okay, so I do know what I'm talking about.
Does that make you a big lacrosse fan?
No, but it's one of the things you can do.
So 2 things.
All right,
two things to do.
Let's get into the segment.
One for each kid.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're good.
4 games north of the border. We have Montreal, Ottawa, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Calgary.
Sure.
And the 4th matchup is Toronto, Hamilton.
Wouldn't miss it.
Reed, of those 8 teams, those 4 games, who do you like at quarterback?
Yeah, I'm going with Matty Nice, Matt Nicholas here at 9,400 for Winnipeg. You know, he's got he threw a touchdown and 2 picks last game, so his price is a little depressed. He's my QB in my season-long CFL team. That's not true.
Yeah, nope.
The over/under in this game is 54, so I do like a high-scoring game. Give me him at that depressed price. I just like where his nickname that I just gave him is fantastic, but I like him at this price in this game.
Jeff, do you have an actual nickname?
No, it's Matt Nichols.
and Jeff, your evaluation of said quarterback pick.
Well, I mean, look, Reed picked the right game. It is the highest over/under total. Why not just go Zach Collaros? The Blue Bombers have worse pass defense. Collaros is a really good quarterback. He's injured for a year. He's really cheap. He's cheaper than my pick last week, which went off for 29 points, by the way, Antonio Pipkin. But he looks like a bit of a sucker pick this week. I like Zach Collaros from that game. Really cheap.
Well, in fairness, Reed's generally weary of the CFL guys who have missed a lot of time with injury.
I am. And Pipkin, you got Johnny Manziel breathing down your throat, too, with Pipkin at 8K. That's a little scary. Even if you're the 8th string quarterback on that team, it's just a little scary.
Well, better than what he's usually breathing into. Running back pick, Reed. What do you got?
Yeah, I just got to go to my notes here. I got Stefan Logan with Montreal Alouettes at 3,300. Look, I went with the little savings here. You got both of those starters banged up, and so he comes into this role. He's not only going to get us points on the ground, but he is listed as a #1 returner for punts and kickoffs, so he could get you those extra points. Again, 3,300. I needed some savings because I wanted to go high with my wide receivers, so I got Stefan Urkel.
Stefan Urkel?
Former Detroit Lion.
Like Steve Urkel?
Yeah, Stefan Urkel. Yeah, Logan. That's my boy. I just got nicknames for all my guys.
I'm pretty sure he just shouted out Steve Urkel.
I did.
He's
Jeff?
probably too young for Family Matters. Go ahead.
I'd rather pay up at running back personally. There are a couple really like William Powell going up against Montreal. Ottawa's 15-point favorites. William Powell's been going off. And my boy last week, Alex Green, it's like he had his third big week in a row. Former Green Bay Packer, like I said, 7,600. He's in a really good spot. So I want to get those two backs. Logan, I guess, yeah, he's got the return capabilities. He's really cheap, but got to get one of those big backs on too.
All right, Reed said he wanted to save some money on these wide receivers, so let's get to the moment of truth. 2 wide receivers, Mr. Reed Fowler.
Yep, Chalk City here with Brad Sinopoly. Here he's at 9,700, sure-handed fourth in this.
Wait, his last name is Monopoly?
No, Sinopoly. I think that's how you pronounce it. I mean, he's not on my season-long team, so I'm not too sure.
It's Brad Sinopoly, Mr. Monopoly.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Reed did not pass go or collect $200.
Yeah, right straight to jail. 9,700, sure-handed. This guy is one of the best, obviously, attacking that game as well. 4th in the league in yards. He's not getting you touchdowns, so he has to get you yards. But he's got, again,
he's really slow.
He's really slow, but he's going to get you receptions. And so if you're playing PPR, which I don't know if you do at CFL, this guy's going to get you yards. So I do like Mr. Monopoly, Sinopoly, 9,700.
I asked for 2 receivers.
Actually run fast.
Oh, come on. This guy gives you 70, 78.
Get off his case. In fairness, he didn't know he's slow.
Yeah, I had no idea.
You never heard of him before an hour ago.
I watched it a lot, but... So who was the guy that you liked?
I approved the Sinopoly pick just because his name is
You're supposed to come up with 2, Reed.
Oh, my next one is BJ Cunningham, 6,500 on the other side with Montreal. Again, he's showing a solid... he's just BJ. Just BJ.
Sure, yeah.
6,500. He's not a guy, my other receiver.
Yep, right. Yep.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I like Naaman Teddy Roosevelt at 6,000. You can pair him with Kolaris. Go with the Rough Riders combo. That's my pick.
That's all I got.
I just can't believe we got a Family Matters reference on TGIF Day. I mean, good for you. Good for you, sir. All right.
Well, I mean, it's step by step. It's one of my favorite.
Well, I mean, you're really going places. All right, we can't always trust Jeff, but we're going to give him a chance right now. Slate approved pick for the weekend, Jeff and Reed. If you'd like to jump in here and fake it, go right ahead.
Well, I'm going back to Alex Green. I mean, like I said, Hamilton's in a really good spot. This guy's been on a roll, former NFL player. Go Max enter CFL so Reed and I can talk CFL every week. And I can make him look
really good. My slate approved is Matty Nice. Let's go, baby.
that's Matt Nichols because he doesn't actually have a nickname. At least if he does, it ain't Matty Nice. Boys, thank you.
It is now.
All right.
Yeah, it definitely is now.
Yeah.
Whenever we do this segment again, which should be a Friday staple. Like I said, it's always one of my favorites. Speaking of favorites, I had the opportunity to chat earlier today with Adam Levitan because, I mean, the man he cares deeply about basketball any time of the year, and that means WNBA. Let's hear what he had to say. WNBA playoffs tonight. I'm not sure there's anyone who talks women's basketball better than superfan Adam Levitan. Levy, how are you?
Man, I'm scared. There's only we're down to the Final Four in the WNBA. The season's almost over. It's a travesty.
Well, it just means we need to enhance our coverage here because the fantasy community, they want to know what's going on in the WNBA. And I can tell you right now, the big question mark in the early game is obviously Washington Mystics star Elena Delle Donne. She's a game-time decision for their Game 3 matchup against Atlanta as we talk right now. But you were telling me off air, looks like doubtful. We won't even worry about her right now. Let's avoid that game. Focus on the nightcap. Showdown contest between Seattle and Phoenix, the Storm and Mercury for people that aren't as adept as you are. Seattle's up 2-0, best-of-5 series. Where should people look on the Storm roster tonight?
Yeah, I think this is a really good spot for the Mercury. They were really close. I mean, they got down big in games 1 and 2, but made really big runs to make it close. I think they come out in this game 3 and play really well at home in a desperation spot. So I would want to spend most of my salary on the Mercury side. I think the cheapest star or the cheapest player with big upside on the Storm would be Natasha Howard, obviously. Tons of blocks and steals, upside. She's going to play 30 to 35 minutes. And in these games where maybe we don't want to spend on Breonna Stewart because we want to fit in other players who we'll talk about in a minute here, Natasha saves you a little bit of money.
All right, so who's going to have a big night for the Mercury then with their backs against the wall?
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that Dewana Bonner is priced slightly ahead of Diana Taurasi. I know Bonner's been playing awesome. I know Bonner will play almost every minute in this game, but Taurasi essentially has full-time playmaking duties in addition to obviously her scoring duties for the Mercuries. And she would be someone that I would really want to target tonight. She's going to put it on her back as the Mercury try to stave off elimination.
All right, well, we'll hope for the best because, again, we need as much WNBA playoff coverage as we can get out of you while we've got you before football gets rolling. Thanks, buddy.
All right, good luck.
All right, thanks, Adams. We make the turn for home on this Friday edition of The Sweat with the baseball gang again. Joining us once again, it's Gary and Thorne, Steve Buchanan, and Matt LaMarca. Matt, of course, of the Action Network. Guys, welcome back.
How come you guys never ask me for my CFL takes?
Could you be as entertaining as those two?
Probably not, but I might be able to name more players than Reed.
Oh well, listen, we're not looking for real information during that segment. So if you're looking to come to the stage with that, we have no use for you.
That's fair enough.
And certainly, you got to work on your nickname game as well, as Reed proved to us today. Well, there's no better way. Speaking of Garion, there's no better way to head into the long weekend with the segment that's loved by many and hated by none.
Just ask him.
Put up your Bukes, led by Mr. Steve Buchanan. Steve will make a pair of picks tonight on this 15-game slate and give you a DK point projection for each. Steve,
all right,
take it away. Who's pick number one?
Yeah.
Man, that wasn't a bad introduction. You know Jesse Cofield, but that was pretty good. I'm going to go with Jock Peterson for 16 DK fantasy points. He's only 4K tonight. Look, I don't think he's going to carry a lot of ownership at all. He's going up against Zach Greinke, so obviously that's not a matchup you'd want to target. Well, so you think. But look, against righties, Peterson has a 379 WOBA with a 293 isolated power with all 19 of his home runs. Look, Greinke is no stranger to allowing home runs either. 23 on the year, 17 of those to right-handed bats. He is a cheap source of power tonight for Peterson. I'm sorry, left-handed bats, excuse me. He's a cheap source of power. Got to go with Peterson.
Matt, you want to react?
Just an awful pick.
Thank you.
100
Peterson,
times out of 100.
100 times. Peterson is in awful recent form. 193-foot average distance, 90-mile-an-hour exit velocity, 30% hard hit rate over the past 15 days.
Ooh.
I don't know why you would want to target a pitcher like Greinke, especially in a pitcher's park like Los Angeles. It just makes absolutely no sense to me.
Gary, do you have a thorn in your side on this pick?
Yeah, I'm not touching Jock Peterson tonight. I mean, even if you look at Zach Greinke's numbers against lefty-handed batters for the season, just a 271 WOBA. I know Steve loves the batted ball data, so we'll go back to fly ball rate for a second. Just a 28% fly ball rate to left-handed bats as well. That speaks to Jock Peterson's inability to hit a ball over 200 feet, as Matt was saying. And then on a 15-game slate, I'm not worried about finding low ownership for an outfielder. What outfielder is going to have huge ownership on a 15-game slate? We don't have to get too cute with this and pick on one of the best pitchers throwing tonight.
You know, on the one hand, Buse looks bored by the two of you, but on the other, it looks like he's just going to jump through the camera right at you.
You know why? Because these guys have no balls. They don't want to play anybody. Oh, it's not a great play, you know. Bad pitcher's park, bad this, bad that. Well, you know what? When you guys win a GPP, then you can say whatever you want, okay? Matt doesn't even have his own segment. Gary didn't even make the show. So there you go.
Duke, send me a head-to-head. Name the stakes. Send me a head-to-head.
Yeah, okay. Action Network, buddy. All right, we're going to go with Alex Gordon for 13.
I want to play this game. You name the stakes. Go ahead, quick. Real quick. What's the little wager there? You can.
We're going to get to the information. We're going to get to the information that matters here, not Matt's little head-to-head here, okay? So we're going to go with Alex Gordon for 13 DK fantasy points for $3,900 tonight. Look, Gordon has been hitting well lately. A statement that nobody has said this entire season. He's averaging 9.6 DK fantasy points over his last 10 games. He faces Andrew Cashner tonight against lefties, 353 WOBA with a 5.15 FIP, 13 of his 19 home runs allowed. Look, Gordon probably wasn't even in your thoughts when you were making your lineups tonight, probably until now. But in August, he's almost doubled his season-long home run total, hitting 4 of his 10 home runs. Look, the guy's on a hot streak right now. He's not going to cost you much. But let's see what scientific reason Matt says or why Gary doesn't care about ownership on a big slate. Go ahead.
Hey, we're laying out. You guys go ahead.
Yeah, go.
I would say that I have to kind of agree with this pick. I mean, you look at Andrew Cashner, he's just been terrible. Like, yeah, I'm completely fine picking Andrew Cashner because Andrew Cashner isn't Zach Greinke. You can pick on a guy like Andrew Cashner tonight. There's 15 freaking games to choose from. But in the month of August, a 5.88 FIP against left-handed bats. He's only striking out 11.1% of the lefties he's faced. To go back to this Jock Peterson thing for a second, I'd much rather play Brian Goodwin at $4,000 than I would play Jock Peterson tonight. So sure, let's pick on Andrew Cashner. That's fine.
Coward.
Garion, that showed a lot of balls to go back at Steve like that. Matt, do you have that?
Yeah, let's hear it, Matt.
Nah, I like this one. I like this call, Bukes. I got to be honest. Cashner, awful on the road this season.
Agree with him.
You know what? Like, I have no problem with agreeing with him when he makes a good call. 384.
When we agree with him, he hates us. When we disagree with him, it doesn't really matter.
You're right. He's just.
Well, you know what? Just be more likable people.
He's jealous of all this.
Impossible to satisfy.
384 Woba on the road for Cashner, and Gordon cheap 3,900 batting second. Implied team total 4.8 runs. Exceeded his 12-month averages in distance exit velocity and hard hit rate over the past 15 days. It's a good call. You should play Alex Gordon tonight.
Matt, you have any kids?
In our head-to-head.
You have any kids, Matt?
Do I have any kids? I don't have kids now.
Well, I was gonna say, if you guys do your head-to-head, loser babysits or something like that. I think
Oh, okay. That would be some stakes. Where's he at? Where you at, Bukes? I'll come babysit if I lose.
Oh, please take me out to dinner first.
You can't tell from his voice where Steve Buchanan is from.
Oh, where am I from?
I can only hear Long Island accents. That's all I got.
I want that head-to-head. Off the air, I want you guys to come up with some stakes. I want that head-to-head to happen. I like all the trash talk.
Yeah, you follow me on Twitter first. Then it'll happen.
All right. How did I get dragged into this?
Well, hey,
bet?
might as well just.
As good a time to let them
let's
go as any, huh?
I had an idea. Steve, I was thinking tomorrow's September 1st, so Kaufman can have September call-ups for Twitter followers. He can follow people for the whole month of September and then unfollow them all at the end of the month.
Yeah, just on a trial basis, see how you do if you're worthy of the major league spot.
Boy, I could only feel so honored. Wow.
This was his idea. My ego's not quite that big. All right, we've hit on a lot of different guys tonight, fellas. We need your slate-approved picks, okay? Give us from this particular segment or any throughout the show for that matter. Who you got? Matt.
I'm going with Joey Gallo. I can't help it. I love Joey Gallo. He's in great recent form. I think he'll have low ownership in a lefty-lefty matchup tonight, but the Rangers are implied for 6.0 runs. Steven Gonsalves does not appear to be a very good major league pitcher. He's only faced 3 left-handed batters through his first 6.1 innings at the MLB level. He's yet to get one out. So I don't think that Gallo is necessarily going to struggle in this lefty-lefty matchup. He's got a pretty low strikeout rate, Gonsalves does. So I think this is a great spot for Gallo to get some, relatively cheap exposure to a big implied team total, and he's got multi-home run power.
Garen?
Well, when I actually take the time to look up a BBP stat, I want to say it twice. So once again, Paul Goldschmidt, 1.5 plus expected slugging percentage in his career against Ryu. I think Paul Goldschmidt's a lock tonight.
Bukes?
Can I just point out that after saying trashing me for ownership, Matt goes and talks about ownership for Gallo?
I didn't trash you for ownership.
Yeah,
I trash you for ownership.
You know what, both of you, just whatever. You know what, I feel like you're saying Jock Peterson just to troll the both of you as my slate-approved pick, but I'm not. I'm going to go with Zach Wheeler. He's my slate-approved pick, but Peterson, number 2.
Gonna waste those 30-point performances from Zach Wheeler then.
I don't want them to go.
I don't either. I mean, thankfully, no one has jumped out of their panels on the screen tonight.
I mean, that's a plus.
But Matt LaMarca, Steve Buchanan, Gary and Thorne, guys, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
See you guys.
See you,
Bye.
fellas.
Well, Mr. Adam Kaufman, what did you learn on the Friday edition of the Sweat?
Well, yeah, I mean, I continue to be a little surprised at just how sensitive Bukes is, really, when he's defending his picks, because that's all well and good. If you want to be upset, obviously, if someone disagrees with you and you want to argue back, have your counterpoints, that's great. This man gets upset when you agree with his picks. It's fascinating, and obviously I mentioned it earlier, but the CFL segment, I don't care. Sometimes entertainment just matters more than the actual information. those guys, I'm not. Well, I won't discredit Jeff. Jeff seems to have some semblance of what's going on with the CFL. Reed openly doesn't have a clue, seems to embrace that, and so I really enjoy it. But, I'm tempted. I'm tempted to make a lineup for this weekend with Jeff's picks just to see where his CFL knowledge is.
I have a few things to do this weekend.
Please.
Number one, I got to watch back the show and figure out if there's indeed a sailboat on Gary and shirt.
Yep, that's
I
important.
have to make a GIF for Steve Buchanan because of that eye twitch thing and the head nodding thing he's got going on when he disagrees with the
it's
take.
Almost like a tick.
Or he agrees with the take.
whatever it is.
We also started an experiment at the top of the show at 6 o'clock. If Adam Kaufman should get an Instagram account or get back on his Instagram.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. You can weigh in. You can weigh in the comments
more
section.
than 300 votes say that you shouldn't.
Yeah, not more than 300 say.
I'm sorry, 300 votes, 38% say no.
Correct, something like that. I don't know. And understandably, a couple of people have also written, like, who gives a crap? Why do we care if you're on Instagram? I support those people. I would vote for those polls.
It's probably those people are watching that don't give a crap about your
All right,
Instagram.
you can leave a comment, see what you think. I can't imagine you need to see any more of me than you already do. So, we'll leave it there, or go to Twitter and vote if you want. At Adam M. Kaufman.
At BJ_Glash.
There you go. All
And
right,
that's
we'll
Steve
talk
Buchanan.
to you Tuesday, September 4th, so it'll be a new month. Maybe those September call-ups, 6 p.m. Eastern. No show on Monday. It's Labor Day, so we hope you enjoy a nice long weekend. Don't work, just hang out and have fun, set lineups, and get cash. We'll see you later.